Hey everybody, today I'm just doing a fun video on pet peeves, so things that I find annoying or irritating. Just thought it would be for something fun to do. So if you have pet peeves, just leave them in the comments below. I want to know what bother other people, or let me know if any of mine are the same as yours. So number one, this is a big one of mine. I can't stand when people get pets who aren't really pet lovers or into pets that much. People who get pets who just think that they should have something around, and then they're the ones that are like, oh, I'm having a baby so I gotta get rid of this animal, or the kids are bored of this pet so I'm gonna get rid of them. I can't stand it. Like, if you don't really love pets and aren't into them and don't want to have them for life, why do you get them? It always makes me crazy. Number two, people who leave kids or pets in the vehicle when it's super hot outside or super cold. Like, that is just mind-boggling to me, why somebody who's smart enough to operate a vehicle isn't smart enough to realize how unsafe that is, especially when you hear the stories every year about what happens. It drives me crazy. Like, I get you need to take your kids with you when you're going out, but take the extra effort, even if they're sleeping, to take them into the store with you. I'd rather wake up a kid and have them be cranky than have something happen to them in the car. And then for people who are taking their pets on errands while it's super hot or super cold out, it doesn't really make sense to me. Why wouldn't you just leave them home where they're safe? Or have somebody with you that can walk them around outside of the car, or stay in the car while the AC's on or the heat's on. Just makes me crazy. Like, I've gone from the vets before and needed to pick up lettuce, but I would never park my car and leave my piggy in the car while I went in to grab lettuce, even if I thought I was going to be a couple seconds. Couldn't even imagine doing that. Number three is to do with driving. There's about 3 things with driving that drive me mental. Okay, the first one is when you're driving behind somebody and all of a sudden they're putting on their brakes and you're kind of like, what are we stopping for? And then last second they'll put their signal or indicator, whatever you call it, I call it signal, put their signal on and they turn. And so you're just like, oh, okay, so that's why we were stopping. Before you put your brakes on, put your signal on so that when you do hit your brakes, people are like, oh, we're stopping because that person's turning. Like, I can't stand that. Or if you're going to a green light, like it's green for me, but red for the other people, somebody's going to be turning right, which you can do on a red light if you stop and check and you have a clear room to go, right? But so many people just roll through and cut you off, and it's like, dude, you have a red light, you have to stop. And then especially when they cut you off and you have to slow down or hit your brakes, ugh. And then the next thing is, like, you're just driving down the highway, down the road, and somebody's waiting to turn right off of a side street and there's nobody behind you, but they decide instead of waiting 10 seconds to go behind you, they're going to go in front of you, going to make you slow down or stop or whatever. That drives me nuts. If you're going to go in front of someone, you better give her gas and not affect that person's speed. Otherwise, wait 10 seconds and go in behind them. Crazy. Okay, the next is number 4. Well, technically number 4. I live in town, so houses are pretty close together, so I cannot tolerate when people choose to live in town but are really super picky and ridiculous about things. Like, they can't live beside you, or they pick apart about what you're doing, about what the neighbors are doing. Like, if you cannot stand to live close to people, move out into the country. I do not like people who have to bother neighbors and bug people. If you like your lawn and your house a certain way, awesome. Mind your own business and take care of yourself. Don't bug people or talk about other people that live close by. Yeah, that's a personal thing. Have a neighbor. Okay, number 5. I do not like when people I don't know grab my arms or my body anywhere to look at my tattoos. It's one thing if I know the person well, like, sure, go ahead, you can look at my tattoos. But when strangers think just because I have a tattoo on my arm that they can grab me, pull up my sleeve or pull my shirt back to look at my tattoo, like, that's mental. You don't do that to people. I can't tolerate that. And then most of the time, like, I'm too nice that, like, I try not to be rude about it, but it's like, boundaries, people. If you want to look at my tattoo, please ask, and I'll show it to you if I want to, but that's just something I personally wouldn't ask unless I knew the person, because, like, it's your body. Don't touch it. Next is 6, backhanded compliments. People who will say something that's kind of a compliment, but really is kind of taking a jab at you. An example, like, would be people who are like, I don't like tattoos, but yours look beautiful. And you're just like, if you don't like tattoos, I'm pretty sure mine don't look beautiful. I would just rather, like, people just didn't make comments about things. Like, if you don't like tattoos, that's fine. I'm just using tattoos as an example because it's something I hear a lot. If you don't like them, that's cool. Just, like, don't say anything. It'd be like if I didn't like somebody's haircut. I'm not going to be like, oh, I hate short hair, but yours looks great. Like, you're not going to say that, right? You just don't say anything at all. So, number 7 is rude YouTube comments. That's something that bothers me a lot. And we're just talking like people who are taking jabs at people, swearing, cussing, just being rude jerks. I think that's just so ridiculous. It just makes yourself look so pathetic that that's how you spend your time, trying to bother somebody else just because you feel like crap yourself. Ugh, ridiculous. 8, I do not like when people try to justify something that they're not doing right or know isn't right. Like, say this kind of goes to the guinea pig things, like, oh, you have a small cage, super small cage for your guinea pig, which you know isn't proper or correct, but you justify it by saying, but my guinea pig's happy, my guinea pig likes it, this is fine, I'm gonna keep it like that, I can't do this or that because of this. Like, who try to make up excuses and reasons rather than just saying, I know it's too small, I'm gonna work on that, I'm gonna save up some money. I would rather hear that than people trying to make themselves feel better. 9, I'm a non-smoker and I have asthma, so I cannot stand when somebody who does smokes will light up right beside you or close to you. And it's like, dude, if I wanted to smoke and breathe that crap in, I'd be smoking one myself. Like, get back. Like, I don't like that at all. I hate, too, if you're stuck walking behind somebody, like in the city on the sidewalk, and they're smoking and it's blowing in your face. Like, if you smoke, like, be polite and be away from people. Some people are too nice to tell you to step away from them, even though they don't want to breathe it in. So I just think it's polite to light your cigarette away from people so it's not blowing in their face. Number 10. This is just silly. When somebody says they don't want dessert or they don't want snacks, this is mainly about my husband, so I get dessert or I get a snack, and then he ends up eating half of it. And it's like, you said you didn't want to order dessert. Why are you eating mine? I want my dessert. I know that probably sounds like a little kid, but it drives me mental when I buy snacks for myself and I'll be like, do you want any? No, I'm good, I'm stuffed. And then I'm eating my snacks and then he's eating half of them. I think that was it. Oh, I do have one more. Number 11 was when people ask you a question but actually don't give a crap about what your answer is. Something that happens in retail a lot, like somebody will be like, hey, how are you? And you're like about to answer, and then they're like, I would like 2 of those and 1 of those. And you're just like, why did you just ask me how I am if you don't care? Like, I'd rather people didn't say that. Like, just say like, hey, and then order your stuff. Don't say like, hey, how are you? And then cut the person off. Or if you answer, they just don't even pay attention. They're like, oh. Or it's the same, like if somebody asks me a question about something and you answer it and you could tell by their face they really didn't want to hear the answer. Don't ask a question if you don't want the answer to it. I am not a person to make small talk with people. I would much rather sit in silence with somebody than like try to talk about something that you really don't care about. That's probably it, I think. Yeah, so that was just for fun. So tell me yours and tell me if any of mine are the same as yours. I want to hear them. Okay, bye guys.